Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Tech Thursday. We are back after...
It's been so long.
I know. We're back after a 2-week hiatus, I think.
Yeah, right? It's weird.
From our
It's very strange.
videos. Yeah, definitely. So while we took the opportunity to regroup before our summer programming is out. So it's out on our calendar now. If you want to check our calendar on the internet, on our webpage, then you can see all the great programs we have lined up for this month and the next. Also, the library is reopened in a limited capacity. That was part of our regroup as well. So if you have questions about that, we also have info on our website about that. So hey, Virginia, welcome back.
Yeah, and it's nice to see some people at the library too. You know, like just real faces. So that was new for us. Yeah, but it's nice to come back to the Tech Thursday every Thursday. So yeah, it's good.
That's right. Mm-hmm. It's a tradition for us. So
great. Yeah.
Yeah. So hello to everybody out there. If you have any questions for us, we'll let you know in just a moment what we'll be talking about. But if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to post those questions or even comments under the video in that comment box, and we'll be happy to get back to you. If you're not watching live, that's fine too. We'd still love to hear from you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Virginia. So what are we talking about today? Where did we leave off?
So a few weeks ago, we started going through the Google suite of apps, basically the equivalent of Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and also Microsoft. Yeah, so those are what we left off, right? It's been 2 weeks. It's a long time ago. But so we talked about Google Docs, which is the equivalent of Microsoft Word, where you can do word processing. And then we also did Google Sheets, which is the equivalent of Microsoft Excel, where you can do spreadsheets. So we have one more big one to go today, and it is Google Slides. So this is the equivalent of Microsoft PowerPoint. So if you ever want to create a slideshow for a retirement party, for a birthday party, for a wedding, you know, like, or you just want to make slideshow for your business presentation, perhaps, or for school, you know, if you need to do a school presentation, Google Slides is a free app that you could use, and it's available just like all the other Google products you can use it on your browser, on your computer, on your laptop. You can use it on your phone. You can use it on your tablet. They're accessible from all the devices, which means you can edit on the go. If you need to make last-minute changes and you don't have a computer with you, you only have your phone with you, you can make your last-minute changes. And all your files, just like for the other two applications, are all stored on the cloud, in Google's cloud, which means you have access to them in like any computer that you can sign into your Google account. You'll be able to get all your files. So you don't have to like worry about, you know, putting it on a USB and carrying that around, or like, you know, emailing yourself your presentation so that you can have it at work. So it's all seamlessly like stored on the cloud, and you can get access to it anytime and anywhere, basically, as long as you have an internet connection. So it's super convenient. And so, yeah, so we love using it, especially these days, having worked from home for the last 3 months. Having Google, you know, like the whole Google suite is super useful for us and very, very handy because we use it a lot on our own projects at the library. You know, and the other thing, of course, is the fact that you can collaborate on them. So whenever we have group projects, you know, this is a great way for us to collaborate. We don't have to worry about like, oh, is this the latest version of the document that I open up, you know, or what it is, right? And it just makes it so much easier. And very often, especially when you're looking at for a presentation like a slideshow, the files could be pretty big. So a lot of times, you know, your email might have limited ability to email a big file like that. Whereas like because it's safe on Google, you're basically sending someone a link, and anybody can get access to it when they have the link to your slideshow. So, which makes it a lot easier when you're trying to like share your documents. So, yeah, so we love using this, and we use it quite a bit. So Liz today is going to show us how it works and just give us an overview. I think it's a tour of Google Slides, so you can start making your own slideshow.
Yes. So just like Virginia said, you can create presentations, as they call them, or slideshows for personal use and also for professional use. So there's no restrictions on how Google will allow you to customize your own presentations using this free piece of software, essentially. Okay, well, with that, let's get to it. Like we mentioned earlier, if you have any questions along the way, any comments, please feel free to type them down in the space below the video. All right, with that, let me share my screen with you. All right, so when we log into our Google account, so if you've got a Gmail already, if you've already been using Google Docs or Google Sheets, you have access to Google Slides within your Drive area. So as a reminder to get to that, log into your Google account. You can see that we're logged in here because of this initial. And if you're not already in Drive, anywhere from any of the Google applications, you can click on this menu here. It's a grid of 9 dots, Google Apps. Then when you click on that, then you can go ahead and find Drive. Now, you don't see Drive here because we happen to be in Drive right now, very conveniently. So to start a new Google Slides presentation, as Virginia mentioned, it is a counterpart to Microsoft's PowerPoint. All we have to do is to click on New. And then from this list here, we can head on over to Google Slides. Now, if I slide my cursor, no pun intended, over to the right and hover over this arrow, we see two options. Now, one is a blank presentation, so I can customize it from scratch, and the other is from a template. Now, if we head over to from a template, we can see this template gallery provided by Google. So there's quite a few different templates or themes set up by Google within the whole slideshow. So depending on what you want to do, for example, doing a recipe book or a portfolio, maybe you have photos that you want to show off, or you want to send out a wedding itinerary, you can do that here. If you're looking for something that looks a bit more professional, for example, for a business or school scenario, then you can head on down to the work section. And here we've got some more streamlined, cleaner, professional looking slideshows, and these are all customizable. So if you wanted to use one of these, for example, if you were interested in the case study, you can go ahead and click on it, and it will launch the Google Slides application with all your slides themed as this particular template. Now, I won't be doing that today. I have actually started a blank presentation, which I'll head over to right now. I've already brought it up from my Google Drive. It's saved there right now. So when you open or start a new presentation, a blank presentation, your first slide will default to something that looks like this. Now, this may look suspiciously familiar to you if you are, in fact, a Microsoft PowerPoint user, or if you've seen it in use before. It's very easy to transition between the products. I'm not going to say it's a carbon copy of it, but it will feel very familiar in terms of the menus and the icons and also the functionality of this particular product. So one thing I like to do, first of all, when I start a new presentation is I like to give it a name. Otherwise, by default, it's going to be Untitled Presentation. And it's easy enough to do. All I have to do is click within this field here, untitled presentation is now highlighted, so I can go ahead and type in my new title. So we'll call that Tech Thursday Slides. And then when I click away, then we can see that our new presentation has in fact been named something. So as with the other Google products like Docs and Sheets, Google will auto save for you periodically. If you are ever in doubt, you can always go up to File, and we can see that there is in fact no save functionality. So not to worry, it is saving it automatically for you. All right, so I've got my first slide here. By default, it's got a layout where I can click to add a title and click to add a subtitle. Usually the first slide of any presentation is in fact like a title page, so I can do that here. And then I can add a subtitle. I think Virginia can see where this is going. And just like that, I've been able to replace the placeholder text within the first slide. And it's already been formatted very nicely. Everything is centered within the text, within the slide, pardon me. And then you can also see that we've got a darker font, a darker, larger font, as well as a lighter, smaller subheading font. Now, if I wanted to add a new slide from here, all I have to do is go up to this plus sign. If I click on the plus sign, you can see if I hover over it, automatically it will add a new slide for me. If I want more options beyond a basic slide, if I hover over the arrow, it says new slide with layout. So very conveniently, if I click here, it will show me various templates for the slide that I want to create. So you can see I can create another title slide, a section header, have other slides with different columns of text. Or I can just go ahead and select a blank slide if I decide I don't want any of those other ones there. So I'll just click on this plus sign, and you can see under my title slide, a blank slide has been created that basically just duplicates the title information. If I decide that, you know what, I don't want this slide anymore, it's easy enough to delete. All I have to do is either press the delete key on my keyboard, which I just did, or on any single slide, you can go ahead and right click and a menu will drop down, giving you options of what you can do with that slide. So for example, I can go ahead and delete this slide, or I can go ahead and add a new slide. Again, I don't want a new slide in here. I've already started a presentation, so I'm going to right click and delete that one from here. So either your delete key on the keyboard once you have clicked on the slide from this left-hand menu here, we can see the selected one is highlighted in orange, or you can right-click for your menu on things you want to do. Now right here, I've got a cat slide. If I wanted to duplicate the slide, for example, if I like the layout of it, again, I can just right-click and then click on Duplicate Slide. And you can see that it's right here. Now, if I wanted to move the slide, say I wanted to not have this as slide number 3, but wanted to move it later on in my presentation, all I have to do is left click and drag. And you'll notice that a little tooltip says move one slide has popped up. And as I move my cursor between slide numbers, hopefully you can see that orange horizontal line in between the two slides. That tells me where the slide will be inserted once I release my mouse. So I'm going to release it here. So now that slide has been moved down further on in the queue. So I'm going to go ahead and once again delete this because I already have this kitty cat up here. Now you're probably familiar already with inserting different objects into your PowerPoint. You can do the same thing with your Google Slides. So as you can see here, I already have an image that has been inserted. There's a very convenient insert image icon up here on the toolbar. It's one of the selected icons that Google has included here. If I click on the drop-down menu here, it shows that I can retrieve photos not only from my computer, but also by using the camera on my computer, for example, or if you have images stored on Google Drive. The great thing about using Google Slides is that you can tap right into those photos that are stored on Drive without having to download them to your computer's hard drive first. So no matter where you are, if you're working on a presentation on a tablet, for example, and you've got photos in your Drive, this is a super convenient option to insert your photos. So I've already got my photo here. If I wanted to add something else to the slide, so for example, a table, a chart, maybe embed a video, add a text box, all of these functionalities that are available in that other well-known product to create presentations is also available here, as you can see. So this is all under the Insert menu. So to insert a text box, for example, I'll just go ahead and click on that. And now my cursor, which was once an arrow, is now a plus sign or crosshairs. So I can just go ahead and drag from one corner to the other where I want my text box to appear. And I can go ahead and type the text that I want. Now you'll notice that once we are within the text box, up here on the menu, now we have options for how to edit and modify and format that text, including font, size, bold, italicization, underline, highlighting, and text color, and also alignment. So it will show you a list of options that are available for the particular item that you are adding to your presentation. If we were to click away from the text, for example, and clicked back on the image, then you'll notice that those options have disappeared. And in fact, these are options for what we can do to format our image instead of text. Now, I already have several slides up here for demonstration purposes, all lovely cats. Now, one of the great features about any presentation slideshow is that you can transition between slides. So for example, if you wanted a slide to slide in and look as if there's movement from one slide to the other, that functionality is available within Google Slides. So I've clicked on slide number 3 over here in the left-hand menu. If I want to add a transition, all I need to do now is to go over here to this menu item to change transition. And once I left click on that, this menu opens up on motion. So motion being how to transition from slide to slide. And right now we can see that none is applied, so that is the default. So to add one, all I have to do is to select what I want to happen. So maybe we'll select fade. And then I can apply that to all the slides if I wish. I can test it out by clicking on play. And we'll see that that's quite fast, so we can go ahead and adjust that here after I click stop. And you'll notice that when we are dragging on the scrub button here, it tells us what the time increment in seconds is between each slide with the transition. So I can go ahead and test that again. And you'll see on autoplay, now it's slowed down quite a bit. So you might wish to use something like this if you're doing something like a slideshow for a wedding, for example. So you can let the pictures transition from one to the other without having to have somebody attend to the slideshow. Now we can also, you'll notice here there is a little indicator just to let us know visually that there is a transition that has been applied to the slide. Now, if I wanted to apply an animation, now an animation is motion that's been applied to an actual item within a slide. So not transitioning from slide to slide, but animating something on one of your slides. So to get there, much in the same way as we transition our slide, all we have to do is click on the object that we want to animate. And I still have my motion box up here, so it's ready for me to choose an animation. If this wasn't available, all I would have to do after selecting my object is to go up here to animate. And that motion box comes back up. So right now, I can select how I want this image to appear. So I can say, fly in from right. When I click the slide, and we won't make it as fast, and I can see what that looks like if I click on it. And then it flies in from the right, just like I specified. If you're happy with that, you can go ahead and click stop. And again, you'll notice that on the left-hand side, in this overview of all of our slides in our presentation, you can see that motion has indeed been applied to this slide. Now I'm just going to close this motion box right here. If I was ready to share my presentation, so for example, if I was going back into the office and I was excited to show my slideshow at our staff meeting, then there's a couple of ways I could go about it. If I had access to a presentation computer with an internet access, for example, I could go ahead and log into my Google account, go to Google Drive, and bring up my presentation, just like this. And then I can choose to present. So by clicking on that button, it takes us to a presentation mode. Now, right now, I'm on slide number 4 because that's where we left off. So I'm going to start back up at the beginning. And by using my arrow keys on my keyboard, I can easily navigate through my presentation. And so you can see here some of the transitions and also the animations that were incorporated into our slideshow. And then when I want to get out of that mode, all I have to do is press the escape key on the keyboard. So again, a lot of these functionalities, as well as how to access them, mirror what is available through Microsoft's version of PowerPoint. If you do want to download a copy of this presentation and either give it to somebody that way, if they don't want to use Drive, for example, or if you'll be using a computer that won't be connected to the internet, then you can also download a copy of this presentation that you can access offline. So to do that, all we have to do is to go up to File and then go to Download. So when I hover over Download, you can see that this menu, this list comes up to the right. So I can actually save this particular file as a PowerPoint format, PPTX. I can also save it as a PDF. So each slide as a page in a PDF, for example, if you wanted perhaps like a printable view. And you can also save it as an image if you wish. But probably the most popular formats to download it out as would be PowerPoint, so that you can show it in a presentation mode using Microsoft PowerPoint, or as a PDF document, again, if somebody is just looking at the file through an Adobe Reader, or if you want to print it out. And I think that is about it. Now, Virginia, is there anything that I've overlooked here that I should perhaps?
No, I think it's a very clear introduction, because I think it's very easy to see that this is a pretty friendly product to use. And I think, especially if you're familiar with the other product, this is very similar, right? Yeah. I think the only other thing I want to show, which if you can share the screen again, Liz, and you're going to be like, what? So go to the slides, go to your main slides, so you can see all your files.
Okay.
So like, yeah, just can we go back to Google Slides, like the home of Google Slide? Yeah.
The drive?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If you go down a little bit, I've added a slideshow that someone made. I think, yeah, right there.
This one? Oh,
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. Yes. So someone actually uses Google Slides to see like how slick of a slideshow you could do. So someone actually made a new recruit orientation for any of the new White Walkers that have joined the army.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that
this is literary themes, right?
That's right. Oh yeah, totally. This is like totally literary theme. Exactly. Bookish slideshow. So this is like, you can see, you can even add a little like GIF almost, right? Like to your slideshow. So it's not just limited to static image.
This is very impressive and all done in Google Slides.
Google Slide, that's right. So so this is your content. So it's a new orientation package.
So really high on graphics, backgrounds, lots of images.
Yeah, nice timeline here of, like reaching from how they started off to reaching the wall.
Yep, could use some columns here.
Yeah.
A chart.
Graphs, right? Of course, charts are very important, because they're growing. You can see how much they're growing, recruitment. And I think sometimes like when we do PowerPoint, like very often they say like, you want focus. So you even want just one big number on your slide. You don't want to have too much stuff on it, right? Recruitment up 400%.
This is very well done.
That's all. I just remember this thing.
This is fantastic. I think I did show it in an in-house class once and said, look at what you can do.
Yeah, and I think we showed it at the, we probably show it at a staff meeting too, I think.
It's,
look at that, market saturation, just best. I love this so much.
Another chart. This is, it's the type of presentation that we've all aspired to create within Google Slides, that's for sure. And you can see on the left here just how many of these slides there are in this presentation. So here's another animation. So this was actually done with the Google people and Chromebook with Game of Thrones people. So that's pretty impressive there, Google Slides.
It's so
thank
awesome.
you for that reminder, Virginia.
Drop that into our drive here. And of course, Miss Corinne is complaining that there's not enough dogs in your presentation.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, and Miss Corinne, if it is Liz doing leading this, it's always going to be cats.
I do like dogs, but fair enough.
Sure.
I appreciate the feedback.
We've never seen you show any, so I don't know.
Well, you'll have to stay tuned to future Tech Thursday episodes to see what else we will come up with.
Maybe like among like 10 cats, there would be like one tiny little dog that is hiding behind.
Maybe. No promises.
So thank you for that list. That was really, really helpful. Like, it reminded me of how easy it was to use Google Slides and just all the things, like that is available, right, with these slides. And I also find like it's kind of fun too, because like every now and then, if you have chosen a theme, and then like if you're doing a layout, like if you click on the right hand side, sometimes they will suggest like new layout to make it even more fancy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, that's a good point, because even after I have created the presentation, if I go, I want to jazz it up a little, I don't like all the white backgrounds, instead of going through each slide and applying, for example, a color or a background image to each slide, then I can go and apply a theme after the fact. So
yeah, and it generates like other new ways to arrange your text boxes and your images to make it like, or at least the robot thinks it's more appealing. So
yeah, definitely.
So so we will be back next week. So probably until the end of the summer at least, right? So we have more Tech Thursday coming.
Yeah, that's right. So next week we're going to stick with the Google theme. So what will we be looking at that time, Virginia?
So when you think Google, like I mean, we introduced you to the three different really useful products, very practical products that we've got, that Google has, I should say. But whenever people think Google, they probably are thinking more of searching the internet, right? So they're kind of looking for looking for things on the internet that's almost synonymous now, the word Google, to like searching on the internet. So what we thought would be interesting is next week we're going to sort of talk about searching on the internet and how to make Google work better for you. Because as you can imagine, there are like a gajillion websites out there. So how do you find the thing that you need, right? And how can we help limit our search so we're not getting like a million results, but getting sort of what you need maybe more immediately, and how you might want to narrow down your search so you can actually get to what you want faster. So that's what we will be talking about. So some tips on you searching on Google.
Excellent. That sounds great, because I feel like we all want to either spend less time online, or we want to get things like searches out of the way so we can go back to whatever other fun stuff we wanted to be doing online rather than searches.
Yeah.
So with that, I do also want to mention that if you have missed any of our previous videos, so you've heard us mention that we have looked at Google Docs and Google Sheets already, lots of other topics, including about some of the products our library offers, lots of tips and tutorials for those. So if you ever want to find our videos for the previous episodes, then at the moment we've got them under videos on our Facebook page, as well as linked to our program events on our calendar. Just find Tech Thursday, click on it, and then you'll see a link for all the previous episodes.
And speaking of things that the library offer, I was just kind of reminded me, I just read that Kobo is releasing a new e-reader, a new sort of entry-level e-reader. It's coming out maybe like in a week or two in July. It's on pre-order right now on the site. So as some of you know, in Canada, Kobo is pretty much the only e-reader maker that is compatible with library books. So unfortunately, the Amazon Kindle is not compatible in Canada with library ebooks, but Kobo is compatible. And not only that, they have actually made it a lot easier to download and overdrive library ebooks to your Kobo. So they're coming up with a new one which supposedly has pretty good resolution and is bigger, even at the entry level. And it is just very sort of seamless syncing with your Overdrive account, so you don't have to deal with like the old way of like transferring ebooks anymore. So it's a little bit easier to use. So I thought that might be of interest to people. If anybody's interested in looking for e-readers, I know Liz and I, like we both use our e-reader to read. Still, I think there's still something like it's still kind of nice, like that whole, like, even if it is just black and white, like there's still something nice about the e-reader. It's a lot lighter than holding a tablet, for example. The best thing I like about it is that I don't get distracted because there's no internet on it. So because reading on my phone is like, oh, let me check my email, like, let me check my text. Like, it's like I get so distracted so easily if I'm reading on my phone, whereas like on my Kobo, or like there's nowhere to go, you're reading. So like I find that helps me at least focus because I can't. So yeah, but so that might be of interest. Check it out. I believe they're doing it at $129, I think. That is their starting price.
That's
so
pretty good for entry level.
Yeah, and give it is a good resolution one, and give it is pretty. I think they say it's pretty big. It's like 8 gig or something like that. So that's not bad. That can store quite a few books.
Yeah, especially if they're just text. So
yeah. So yeah,
that's great. Awesome. If anybody out there does happen to pick up one of these newfangled Kobos with the overdrive functionality integrated into it, we've got a video for that of how to log in with your Port Moody library card, as well as search that catalog and download those ebooks. Well, with that, I think it's time for us to say goodbye and wrap up this episode of Tech Thursday. So we do hope that you will join us again next week for our next episode and some more great tech tips. So bye for now and have a great day.
See ya.